Have you ever heard the old saying, they just don't make them like they used to? Well, with one look at this toy collection, you'll kinda wish they did. Justin Pinchot has one of the largest collections of space toys in the country. From ray guns to robots, to the most rare and unique. This SoCal native has also written for some of the top publications for toys and collectibles. Simply put, he just loves talking toys.
I especially like the fantasy aspect of space toys. What thrilled me was the imagination of these toy makers who thought this is what space travel is going to be like. We're going to have robots, and we're going to have jetpacks, and we're going to, fly rockets to work. At this stage, I've kept only the rarest of the rare and only the most interesting stuff, the stuff that I like the best. This is a Buck Rogers XC-44 liquid helium pistol. This one actually has survived in its original box. This is one of the earliest ray guns that came out for the Buck Rogers comics. The box really makes this worth quite a bit more. The loose toy in mint condition probably sells for about $900. When you add the original paper box to it, it jumps to anywhere from $2,500 to $3,500. This is the Atomic Jet Space Police. Just a really unusual gun. They don't turn up very often. Boxed, these sell for $3,000–$4,000. Loose, you can find one, if you're lucky, for maybe $2,000. The gun itself is very, very scarce. This is the 1953 Pyratomic Disintegrator. This is probably the very, very top of the collecting game for ray guns. This is probably the rarest gun you can find. Because it's so fragile and it's plastic and it's so large, very few survived. Probably 7 or 10 of them known in collections. But this is really the iconic ray gun. This is the one that most collectors are after, most will never own. This is the granddaddy of them all. This is the very first ray gun ever made, as far as I know. It's called the XZ-31. It was made in 1936 for Buck Rogers, and it is the exact gun that was shown in the comics. This was a huge sensation. There were lines around the block to buy this gun when it came out at Macy's, and in mint condition like this, they can bring $300 to $500, $800, even though there's a lot of them out there.
Perhaps the most popular space toy to collect is the robot. But what exactly is so fascinating about these artificial creatures?
I don't know why robots do this to most people, but there's something about the idea of having a robot that can't get hurt and doesn't have feelings and will take care of you. I think that's fascinating somehow. In some cases, like the little one in the middle, the R7, his name is Flashy Jim. He has sort of a forlorn, sort of melancholy look on his face, like he wants to be human, but he can't be. So there's some magical charm about robots, and I'm fascinated by them. I love them, and I can't get enough of them. But I think it's that, maybe just that it gives us some measure of control, thinking that we can have another creature do our bidding.
These toys were originally made for fun, but they've become a collector's dream.
A lot of this stuff has transcended its intended use as a toy and turned into art. It was a kid's toy at one point. Now it's this important collectible on somebody's shelf. So where did that transition take place? I think that's what fascinates me about anything vintage is where has this thing been? There's a couple of different reasons why people collect. Mainly, most collectors, just aesthetically, they're just in love with this stuff. It's just charming and it's interesting and it's fun. Whether you collect vintage thimbles or whether you collect vintage shoes or whether you collect vintage ray guns, doesn't matter what you collect. It's just that you collect. It's that you have an affection for something that is no longer available and that speaks to a time that is no longer. And so I like these things that remind me of when things were pretty simple.
For SoCal's Best, I'm Kyle Mackey.